Okay, hi. This is the third part of our discussion about the fundamentals of criminal investigation. So, tapos na po tayo sa pag-discuss about the personalities or the contributors about the development of the criminal investigation. Ito yung mga taong nag-contribute sa development ng criminal investigation. So now we will proceed to the threefold aims of criminal investigation. So when we talk about the threefold aims, ito yung tatlo. First is to identify the guilty party. The second is to locate the guilty party. Third is to provide evidence of his guilt. So when we talk about identification, kailangan ma-identify sino yung suspect or suspect ng krimen. Then, upon the identification, pag ma-identify na, proceed na tayo sa ikalawang aims is to locate the guilty party. Third is to provide evidence of his guilt. So, may kuan din tayo. May 6 cardinal points of investigation. When we talk about 6 cardinal points of investigation, ito yung 5 W and 1 H. Noon, para memorize ko ito ng mas madali, ang minimemorize ko is tinatandaan ko is 5 W's at 5 wives and 1 husband. So ito yung 5 W's and 1 H. So by using these cardinal points of investigation, dito natin malaman kung ang investigator is knowledgeable on how to have a detailed information about the investigation. So by this cardinal points, dito makikita natin kung nakadetalye ba talaga or detalyado ang pag-i-investigate ng crime, di ba? So ito yung 5 W's and 1 H. So now we will proceed to the phases or the stages of criminal investigation. Phase 1 is to identify the suspect. So nakita natin yung threefold aims at yung phases magkapareho lang talaga. So pareho lang talaga sila. Pero dito sa phases, specific yung information. So specified siya. So phase 1 is to identify the suspect. Under the identification of the suspect, in order to identify, may mga ginagamit. First is yung confession. Ito yung ginagamit para ma-identify if the suspect is the one who commit the crime. Kung mag-confess siya na siya talaga yung nag-commit ng crime. Ikalawa is by eyewitness testimony. So when we talk about eyewitness testimony, ito yung testimonial evidence or testimony ng tao or person na mismong nandoon sa krimen or nakakita mismo. So ito yung eyewitness. When we talk about witness kasi, under the rules of procedure, ito yung person who can perceive and make their perception to others. So meaning, mako-convey nila yung nakita or information na nakita nila during the commission of the crime by the suspect. Diba? So third is the circumstantial evidence. We can identify the suspect through circumstantial evidence. So we will discuss circumstantial evidence further sa slides mamaya. So we will discuss it further. Then the associate evidence. So, madi-discuss din natin to. So the second phase is to locate and apprehend the suspect. So ito yung second phase of criminal investigation. So kung ma-identify ng suspect gamit yung mga sinabi ko kanina, itong apat, so the investigator will proceed to locate and apprehend the suspect. Then third phase is to gather and provide evidence to establish the guilt of the accused. So sa tatlo, ang pinaka-importante or the bottom line para magawa talaga ang investigation at ma-uphold yung justice. So ito yung phase 3 or the third phase. Kasi dito tayo makakagather ng mga ebidensya na kailangan to prove that the suspect is the one talaga na nag-commit ng crime. So ito yung pinaka-importante and the bottom line of the criminal investigation, ang phase 3. So proceed tayo dito sa identification of criminals. So gaya ng sinabi ko, may tatlo. First phase is to the identification of criminals. Second is to locate and apprehend the suspect, din to provide evidence of his guilt. So nandito tayo sa first phase, identification of criminals. By methods of identifying criminals, by confession or admission of the criminal himself. Gaya ng sinabi ko kanina sa first part, the difference between admission and confession is that yung confession, ito yung direct acknowledgement of guilt ng suspect mismo na siya talaga yung nag-commit ng crime. While admission, it is the acknowledgement of the facts or circumstances but not guilt. So meaning, through admission, for example, si A nag-confess siya na siya mismo yung nag-commit ng crime. So ito yung confession. So ang example ng admission is that si A, sample A, nag-admit siya, inadmit niya na nandoon siya mismo sa crime scene during that time na ang crime was committed, but he did not admit directly that he did not admit directly his guilt na siya yung pumatay. For example, say nandun ako sa crime scene nung oras na pinatay si B, but actually nandun lang ako. Di ba? Inadmit niya nandoon siya, but he did not admitted his guilt. So ito yung kaibahan ng confession at admission. So identification by accounts or testimonies of the witness, sabi ko kanina. Then identification by circumstantial evidence, associative evidence. Then the identification of method of operation or the modus operandi. So confession, ito yon, na-explain ko na kanina, direct acknowledgement of guilt arising of the commission of the crime. So may two types of confession. Ito yung extrajudicial confession at judicial confession. When we talk about extrajudicial confession, those confession made by the suspect during custodial investigation. Meaning, under pa ang suspect sa custody ng pulisya or ng pulis natin or any other law enforcement agencies na nagkakandak ng investigation, nag-confess siya. So, ito yung extrajudicial confession. While ang judicial confession is that those confessions made by the accused in open court. Meaning, nag-start na yung trial, nag-confess na siya. Di ba? ito yung judicial confession na sinasabi natin. So, extrajudicial confession is admitted in the court provided that sa pag-confess niya is into writing. Meaning, nag-confess siya, sinulat niya sa papel or nag-type siya na nag-confess siya, then subscribed by or dapat may signature ng attorney. Meaning, while nag-confess siya, into writing in the presence of attorney. So, admitted yung extrajudicial confession. Pero, if nag-confess siya at hindi niya nilagay sa writing at walang attorney na present at that time, so yung confession niya is will not be admitted in court as evidence, di ba? So ito lang, extrajudicial confession. So ito yon, admission. Tapos na tayo sa confession, punta naman tayo dito sa admission. When you talk about admission, gaya ng sinabi ko kanina, it is a self-incriminatory statement. Meaning, acknowledge the fact or circumstances na nandoon siya, but not his guilt. So, ito yan. It implicates, but not incriminate. Diba? Implication lang na nandoon siya at that time, but no, hindi siya dapat ma-i-incriminate kasi hindi ito confession admission ito. It is also an acknowledgement that a fact, action, or circumstances are true. Sinabi niya, tunay, diba? For example, ako, yung nag-admit, tunay, nandyan ako nung oras na yon, pero hindi ako yung pumatay, diba? So, ito yung admission. Rules to be observed in taking confession or admission. Confession or admission must be taken preferably in writing and under oath. So, ito yung sinabi ko kanina. It must be taken into writing, di ba? At under oath. May kwan mismo. Nag-oath mismo yung suspect. Di ba? It must be written in the language known and understood by the accused. Hindi pwedeng hindi marunong ma-English yung accused or yung suspect, but ang ginawa ng police is the confession is reduced into writing, but English yung sinulat niya, so hindi yan pwede. So if hindi niya alam ang English, so dapat Cebuano or Tagalog. So preferably in writing under oath, understood by the accused, diba? If not, it must be clearly translated. So ito yun. It must be freely and voluntary given by the accused. So ito yung mga requisites to be observed in taking confession. So under the new constitution, it must be taken in the presence of competent and independent counsel chosen by the accused mismo. So gaya ng, as I have said in the latter presentation or slides, so kailangan reduce into writing with the presence of his accused or his attorney or counsel preferred by the accused mismo, diba? So we will proceed to kinds of criminal identified by the witness. So nandito pa tayo sa identification na. So kinds of criminal identified by witness is either known criminals or unknown criminals. When we talk about these known criminals, ito yung mga criminal or mga syndicates na palaging gumagawa nito, diba? When we talk about unknown, so possibly itong mga criminal na ito is first time na gumawa ng krimen. So ito yun. So siyempre, gumawa na ito ng krimen, di ba? So, we'll proceed to the methods of identification by witness. Paano ma-identify ng witness ang suspect? So, through verbal description, di ba? So, ma-describe niya through verbal. So, ito yun. Then, through photographic files or rogues gallery. So, ito yung, as I have said in the part 1 of this subject, rogues gallery is yung mga pictures or mga picture na mga known criminals na gumawa na ng krimen in the past, di ba? So, general photograph. So, yung photograph mismo ng suspect. Then, the artist sketch, composite criminal illustration. So, ito yung drawing na nakikita natin sa TV. So, ma-identify ng witness ang criminal or yung suspect through artist sketch, di ba? So, may kuan dyan, yung police, may artist, then the witness will give the description or the physical features of the suspect, di ba? So, yun yung i-sketch ng artist natin sa police or other law enforcement agencies. So, the value of identification by a witness depend on the ability to observe and remember distinct appearance of the suspect, prevailing condition of visibility, then the lapse of time. So, ito. May mga witness kasi na, for example, matanda na, hindi na masyadong nakakita or nakaka-identify, di ba? Kasi yung mata nila is, kung sa Bisaya pa, halap na, di ba? So, it is the value of identification by a witness that will be depend, di ba? So, kung ma-remember ba nila or ma-observe ba nila yung appearance or physical features na suspect, ito yun. Then, the prevailing conditions of visibility. Sabi ko kanina ito. Then, the lapse of time. So, ito yung ikatatlo. What are the procedures of identification by eyewitness? So, may dalawang procedures of identification by eyewitness. First is the physical lineup. It's a means of selecting a suspect from a group of innocent persons, usually composed of 7 to 10 persons. The purpose of the lineup is to eliminate the power of suggestion. So, physical lineup, ito yung suspect nilalagay sa 7 to 10 individual na inosente. Then the witness will directly pinpoint kung sino yung suspect doon. So, ang purpose nitong lineup is to eliminate the power of suggestion. Meaning, kung for example, kung isa lang yung suspect na ilagay, may tendency na yung witness will siyempre sinuggest ito ng police. So, tendency is the witness will pinpoint the suspect mismo na which is undesirable for him as a witness kasi hindi ma-identify ng maayos yung suspect, di ba? So, ito yung purpose ng lineup, to eliminate the power of suggestion by the law enforcement in order for the suspect to be fair, di ba? So, ikalawa, yung physical show up. When we talk about physical show up, ito yung isang tao lang, di ba? Yung pinapakita sa witness. Ito yung physical show up. So, proceed tayo sa circumstantial evidence. When we talk about circumstantial evidence, ito yung facts or circumstances from which either alone or in connection with other facts, the identity of the person can be inferred. So, I will give some explanation about this, di ba? For example, sa A, pinatay niya si B. Then, pinatay niya ito gamit ang itak, di ba? Then, si C, as a witness, nakita niya si A and B na magkasama nung panahon pang hindi sila nag-away, di ba? At hindi pa niya pinatay ni B si A. So, posibleng si C as a witness na magkasama sila noon, na nakita niya na they are arguing with each other, si A at si B. So, posibleng yung testimony ni C pwedeng magamit as circumstantial evidence. Diba? Kahit hindi pa niya nakita mismo na pinatay ni A si B. So, ito yung circumstantial evidence. Then, after that, nakita mismo ni D na si A is tumatakbo na may dalang itak. So, si D as a witness also, nakita niya na tumatakbo si A, may dalang itak at yung itak ay may dugo. So, ito rin ay makuha natin as a circumstantial evidence. So, magagamit din natin ito as evidence. Nakita niya mismo. So, itong circumstantial evidence is when we will be connecting the two testimony of C and D. So, ito yun. Ito yung malakas na ebidensya na gagamitin. So, ito yung circumstantial evidence. Diba? So, ito yung other term ng circumstantial evidence is indirect evidence. Diba? Kung may direct evidence tayo, which is, ang direct evidence is nakita niya mismo na pinatay niya si B. So, may circumstantial evidence din. So, ito yung indirect evidence. So, what must be inferred to prove identity by circumstantial evidence? First is the motive. Diba? Is what induced the criminal act to act. Diba? It is the moving power. When we talk about motive, it is the moving power that induces a criminal to commit a crime. Diba? Then, intent is the result of accomplishment of the act. Meaning, resulta na siya na yung action is na-accomplish na. Diba? Then, the opportunity is the physical possibility that the suspect could have committed the crime. So, ito yung opportunity. So, absence of these three, so, posibleng hindi kukumit ng criminal ang crime. So, ito yung it must be inferred to prove identity by circumstantial evidence. Kailangan makuha ng investigator ito, yung MIO. Sa iba pa yung IMO. Ito yung letters na pwede nyong i-memorize para mas madali nyong ma-identify itong kwanto. Yung IMO. Then, it could be inferred from the following. The suspect could have been in the vicinity of the crime scene at the time it was committed. So, knowledge of the criminal objective, then the absence of an alibi on the part of the criminal. So, pwede na rin itong ma-inferred as the circumstantial evidence. Then, proceed tayo sa physical evidence to identify criminals. So, gaya ng sinabi ko kanina, there are three kinds of physical evidence. First is itong corpus delicti. As I have said in the part 1 or part 2 of the subject, corpus delicti is the body of the crime, or fact, or specific loss or injury sustained. It constitute the essential parts of the elements or the elements of the commission of the crime. So, kaya nang sinasabi ko kanina, so, example of the corpus delicti in the crime of murder is yung patay, yung dead body mismo. So, it will constitute as part of the elements of the crime. So, di ba? So, associated evidence, these are the pieces of evidence that will link the suspect to the crime scene. So, the suspect may leave some clues at the scene such as weapons, tools, garments, or prints. So, ito yung mga, for example, yung suspect, pinatay niya si A, di ba? Or si A, pinatay niya si B. Si A, by doing this, by doing the crime, naiwan niya yung ID niya or yung mga either yung mga personal belongings niya doon sa crime scene. So, ito yung magagamit as associative evidence na yung suspect talaga is nandoon sa crime. So, ito yung associative evidence. So, dito naman sa tracing evidence, it is the article which assists the investigator in locating the criminal. For example, yung stolen goods in the possession of the suspect is an example of tracing evidence. For example, yung buhok ng victim is nandoon sa kuko ng suspect. So, ito yung matawag natin as tracing evidence. Meaning, it is an indicative that the suspect is nanggaling doon sa crime scene or nagkontak siya mismo sa victim, di ba? Physically, di ba? So, ito yung tracing evidence. So, modus operandi. So, ito yung modus operandi. Ma-identify din natin yung mga suspect of a crime, especially yung mga known criminals, by using this modus operandi. Diba? So, kailangan investigator ka alam mo yung modus operandi. It is the method of operation by a specific criminal or criminal syndicate. It is a distinct pattern of how a crime is committed. Meaning, it is the method. For example, ang modus operandi nila is basagin yung glass gamit ang martilyo. So, tinawag silang martilyo gang. So, ito yung modus operandi. The methods on how they commit the crime. So, ito yon. So, magamit ito as identification in knowing who is the perpetrator. Kasi ito yung parating ginagamit nila as a method on how to commit their crime, di ba? So ito yun, modus operandi. So do not be confused about the modus operandi and signature, di ba? When we talk about the modus operandi, ito yung method of operation on how they commit the crime. While itong signature, ito yung ginagamit ng suspect as ito yung nagagamit ng suspect is reason how to commit the crime, di ba? When we talk about signature, ito yung for example, ang suspect, ito yung makakasatisfy ng behavior niya, di ba? For example, ang signature na magnakaw, di ba? Magnakaw at gusto niyang i-satisfy yung behavior niya o yung psychological behavior niya. So, example, nagtai siya sa pintuan. So, ito yung signature. While ang modus operandi, ito yung paraan on how he commit the crime, di ba? So, do not be confused about the modus operandi and signature. So, this is the end of the part 3. Now, we'll proceed naman. Tapos na tayo sa identification of criminal. We'll proceed on tracing and locating and apprehending the criminals on the part for video.